Hello, everyone, and welcome to Podtoid. We are your host. I am CJ.
I'm Chris.
I'm Dan.
I'm Occams.
And today we are joined by Charlotte Cutt. Charlotte, welcome.
Hi. I almost butted in then and introduced myself quite rudely when I'm supposed to be introduced by other people, I guess.
Hey, it's your first show. This is Podtoid episode 387. It's great to be back. We've had a really busy week this week. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. But first, before we get into everything, I want to start off with a little story, not game-related. And we go to Wisconsin, where a 34-year-old man called police on himself after destroying much of his house with an axe. According to the story, the man told police he got in a fight with his wife, grabbed the axe, and destroyed his TV stand, a computer, and several other items in his house. He then went outside and axed his car, chopping off both side view mirrors and smashing it into the windshield where it got stuck. He called the cops and admitted to drinking too much and overreacting when he thought his wife had damaged some of his, quote, prized property. That property was action figures.
Wow.
That's an appropriate reaction, you know.
I mean, if you consider the value of some of the Star Wars figures, you know, that's a pretty natural reaction to me. And I'm glad that he left the axe in the windshield, kind of horror movie style. I thought that was like a nice bow on all of it.
Well, I just wonder, does he use none of this other stuff? Like, is it her television, her laptop, her car?
Yeah. The renter's insurance is in her name.
We don't know what action figures they were.
No, unfortunately, It didn't say. I would assume Star Wars. I would find it extremely funny. It was just like just these rare Japanese action figures of, you know, women taking baths and stuff. We used to sell those when I worked at the toy store.
I feel like they might be like Spawn figures, you know, just to add an extra sad element to the story.
That's a wonderful mental image.
I was going to go with anime figures too, just considering the level of drama in his response.
Absolutely. I do like that he just gave up, like you said, with leaving the axe in the windshield, just giving up on it. Because, I mean, it seems sad that that's the only place he stopped. Because I want to know how far he would have gone if he would have had the strength to take that out. Like, would he have just destroyed the entire house, chopped down the front door, taken down a banister or something?
Yeah.
It sounds like if he destroyed all that stuff, that's a long time. That sounds like a rampage that went on for like 15 minutes.
Absolutely.
And you have to be committed to the rage to not, after just 10 seconds, be like, oh wait, why? Well, for a start, to be like, why am I holding an axe? But then you have to really commit to that rage to be like, right, living room's clear. Where shall I go next? Garage.
And I feel like around minute 7, he probably took like a Jolt Cola / Zima break, you know, to just kind of re-up a little bit.
5-hour energy, you know.
It's like a full upper body workout, really, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. That sounds like something that you would see on America's Biggest Loser. Like, that's their challenge of the week. Destroy this house with an axe. Just Jillian Michaels screaming in them, he ruined your action figures! He ruined your action figures! And you just destroy the house. I don't even know if that show's still on the air.
I don't know what that show is.
I don't know.
That's right. We have this is more international than it is national podcast. We have Chris in England. We have Charlotte. You're in Germany, correct?
Yes.
For now.
Yes, for now. Oh. I don't want to leave.
Well, now we have Charlotte on the show. Yes. I can say things, and instead of you all reacting with question marks, I'll have someone who'll be like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about." Charlotte, if I said to you, "What's Buckaroo?" What would you say Buckaroo was?
It's a children's toy set with a like horse that you have to hang things on until it kicks them all off.
Thank you.
People speaking American.
Do you know what Mr. Pop is?
No.
Oh, damn. Okay.
See, she's way too young. You're way too old, Chris.
All right. Okay, CJ.
Yes.
If I said to you, deep fried Oreo, bringing in that American flair.
I would say a State Farm staple, along with deep fried ice cream, deep fried Twinkies, deep fried pizza, deep fried chicken topped with bacon, and then of course deep fried fries.
Have you had deep fried butter?
I have had deep fried butter.
Oh no! You answered poorly. Oh, Cup of Christ style from Indiana Jones. You chose very poorly, sir.
It is the grossest and also kind of most delicious thing I've ever had.
It's the closest I want to ever get to doing heroin. Like I get it sometimes, but like no, I'm not doing that.
Is this an item to be eaten like on its own? Like you just like a candy bar or something?
Yeah,
on a
stick.
stick.
Pizza. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why we have diabetes in this country, is because we eat deep fried butter.
State fairs, they're a multiple health concern.
Yeah, if you're not going to die on one of the rides, you're definitely going to die eating the food. Oh, yeah. So I just want to start off with that story before we get into the games. But Charlotte, as you are new here, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. What have you been playing over this past week?
I have been playing Lisa the Painful RPG over and over and over and over again because I'm learning to speedrun it. So that's been quite interesting because it's like trying to memorize exactly where you go in a game and trying to use a guide as little as possible. But if you go the wrong way, then you lose time. So I'm literally just memorizing the route right now. But I'm making progress. It's fun.
And what is Lisa the Painful? I've never heard of this game before.
It's an RPG Maker game that came out about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's about a world where only men exist, and it sort of tells the tale of all the shit they get up to with no women. But then there is a woman right at the beginning. The main character finds a baby that happens to be a female and then raises her, and then she goes missing. So it's all about him trying to find his adoptive daughter. But you don't see a lot of the story speedrunning it, really. You just skip through all the text.
And so, are you doing this for a speedrunning event?
I would like to, but to be honest, it's so well... The leaderboards are so well occupied with like people who are like amazing at the game that I don't think I'll ever have that lofty ambition of taking first place ever. But I might submit it for ESA this year just to see how I do. I'm not sure. I'd like to probably learn something else for ESA though, because like I say, just so many people have like conquered the game already, including people who go to ESA. So
yeah.
What's the average time for that game when it's been speedrun? Generally?
I mean, the leaderboards is from people who took just over 2 hours to the world record that got set this week was 1 hour 17 minutes and some spare change. So
Christ, that's fast.
Yeah, once you know where you're going, it's pretty fast. But like on a casual run, it took me. It was taking me over 5 hours. So it's quite a difference once you know exactly what you're doing.
It's crazy because like with speedrunning, whenever you see people in this speedrunning RPGs, it always in my head I'm always just picturing them playing like say Final Fantasy VI like endlessly week after week after week. And I think if I was speedrunning a game, I'd just have to pick some really basic arcade game that takes like 20 minutes or something like that.
Some shmup.
Yeah.
Some shmup, yeah.
Yeah, there were plenty of people at ESA who run Final Fantasy games, and I just think that's bananas. Like how long it takes to like even do a speed run, and then you have to do it over and over and over and over again.
I love this.
Crazy.
I love when they have the speed runs, but they have the really extensive summons that they have to do, and so the time just gets extended out because it's a 35-minute cutscene to do a summon for an earthquake.
I always felt like like a speed run of an RPG, like a Final Fantasy, feels like a task that would be given to someone in a Terry Gilliam film. You know, where it just seems insane.
If Brazil was made for gamers, yeah.
Yeah.
Occams, what have you been playing this past week?
Well, I have been playing The Witcher.
The first one?
Yeah, or the Witcher 3, I suppose. Okay. I just call it The Witcher because that's my Witcher. Because I just want to beat it, and my last save was from like 3 years ago, and I'm over 100 hours. So I'm just trying that. And it's slowly but surely. That's my Sisyphusian task, trying to beat that. It's such a good game, but it's just, goddamn, it's like I'm going to teach myself programming and, you know, not really thinking what that actually entails. And then I started playing Resident Evil 2. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, Resident Evil 2. So good. So stupidly good. I spent a lot of time just walking around and looking at stuff, and then in my mind going back to that first playthrough my friends and I did in high school, like the day the game came out. And so it's been a really interesting journey because it's also tied in this, like, we're older and technology's advanced and things are different and wow, blah, blah, blah. You know, so it's been a really interesting experience playing a game in a very kind of unique way that's not just playing a game, but sort of looking at who I am as a gamer and where technology is and like gaming and blah, blah, blah. And it's been fun. And it's just gory as fuck, which I love. I'm just shooting arms and legs off and so good. I do hate that the zombies kind of have this really weird thing where, like, if they get near you, all of a sudden they've like grabbed you no matter what. That's a little annoying, but I'm still adoring the game, and it is horrifying and wonderful, and everyone should play it.
It's all fun and games when you're staring at stuff until the not so fun Mr. Kool-Aid Man comes smashing through the wall that is Mr. X, and then spends like the next 20 minutes chasing you.
Yeah, I love his, like, the way his face looks, like it's almost like a ritual, like, scarification swirl on his face, because, you know, in like the original version he's just like gray, like a big gray dude, and he's creepy as shit, but like the level of detail they've added to him, it's very unpleasant, and I really like these little touches really make it for me.
Yeah, and see, I saw a bunch of people on Twitter talking about Mr. X, and I realized I don't remember Resident Evil 2 as well as I thought I did, because I had no idea what they were talking about. I thought they were all referencing the third season of Arrested Development. So to then go see the videos of it, like, oh crap, there's so much I don't remember about this game.
It's really funny because I was going to say the same thing. Like, I played Resident Evil 2 so many times, all the way through it. I remember spending one New Year's Eve playing through it on One Life, because that's how exciting my life is. But when people were like, look at what they've done to Mr. X, I was just like, who the fuck is Mr. X?
To be fair.
But then I remember. Yeah, I totally remember the guy now.
Like, to be fair, Nemesis kind of stole his thunder.
A little bit,
Nemesis
yeah.
is like Mr. X on steroids with a rocket launcher.
Well,
And he had his own game.
Yeah, he did. Like, it was the third one's, you know, based around him. So, but you know, I haven't played Resident Evil 2 yet, but I will have to say, my favorite YouTuber made a point, and I just actually feel sorry for you guys for enjoying it.
Oh, this guy.
Oh,
you have no brain, and you let someone else think for you. But look, when you come away, and it's going to happen, folks, that honeymoon phase is going to dissipate sooner rather than later. When you come away from this all-new edition of Resident Evil 2, and you're complaining about aching all over because you had your fun in the sun, you're complaining about being sunburnt, guess what? You have only yourself to blame, because you didn't want to listen.
Like, this has to be fake, right? There's no way this man is serious.
I feel like
it's a work.
I feel like the guy has the same intensity when he's like ordering Arby's, you know, as he does like talking to us, and it's clearly an act. If he believes it, then oh, God bless him. I thank him for it. But no, I think he's a very fun actor.
I kind of hope that it's not, though, because it makes it funnier to laugh at.
If it's not, he's a schizo.
Yeah, no, if it's not, I mean, it's outsider art personified, and I love it. I absolutely adore it. But I like to think he's just a great actor, and but, you know, who knows?
He's nailed that fine line where he's gone too far for you to buy into that not being an act. But enough people will still be mad enough at what he's saying that they'll click on all these videos to complain about what he's saying.
Yeah, that video had 7,000 views. A 2.5 minute video.
It kind of, when I haven't actually seen the videos, I just heard the clips, thankfully. So in my head, it's like if sexual frustration and milk breath, like, or milk voice rather, had a baby, like, that's kind of what this guy is to me.
He wears the same shirt in every video, too.
Yeah, and the neck hole just gets wider and wider and wider. And my favorite thing is you look in the background of that video, and he still has Christmas decorations up.
Yeah.
Good little details.
Yeah, that's what does it.
Or maybe he's just really ahead of his game, and he records like a month. When he hears a new game's coming, he records all the videos from that game on like the same 2 days, and then just like paces them out over the following weeks. I
mean, it's not like what he's saying is anything relevant to the time. I mean, in this video, he was talking about how Resident Evil 2 got good reviews, and like, anyone could have told you last year this game was going to get good reviews. When I played the demo back at E3 last year, I could have told you this game's going to get good reviews. So you're right. He could have just recorded that all in one day, like, you know, episodes of Jeopardy. Christmas
Day. That's what he did.
So sad.
I spent New Year's Eve playing Resi 2, and he spent Christmas Day recording those videos and tugging away at that neck hole on his shirt.
The thing that kind of surprises me about the Resident Evil 2 reviews is, like, for the first time in a long time, I haven't seen a game on Metacritic with a user score higher than the actual Metacritic on launch. Normally, it's bombarded with, like, the typical people who've only played it, like, 15, 20 minutes, and then they want to immediately shit on it. But it's been getting, like, universal praise and word of mouth. It's insane.
I think for this one, it's weird because it's both positive from critics and from users. Like, I've seen a lot where the users is really high and then the critics are like, 50. But for, like you said, it's universal. Both critics, both fans, everyone seems to love this game.
Yeah, I think the only group that would really want to shit on it are the people who, they want and I'm using big old air quotes here, but it's like traditional Resident Evil experience with the fixed camera angles and the tank controls and all, and who. And that's fine. I don't begrudge them wanting that, but it's that group who can't like accept that this is a Resident Evil game. Like, I get to see them, but I think that's a very, very small group compared to just people who are playing this and enjoying it.
Yeah. And speaking of reviews, did anyone feel sorry for IGN after what they had to go through?
They've been having one heck of a year.
I kind of did, yeah.
That review looks like it came out of the McCarthy hearings. There was like so much redaction. Now it will be found in a filing cabinet 50 years from now. It will be like, now we can reveal what was behind the block text.
I have a theory of exactly what happened. My theory is that he didn't beat either campaign, and what he ended up doing was he played through Leon. He didn't beat it, so he didn't unlock the second run option, nor knew about it, because the game doesn't really tell you until you see the credits at first. Once the credits have rolled, it tells you, hey, second run. Go do a second run with Claire. So he didn't get that. Then he started a new game with Claire, but the problem is he was still on Route A. So he was just seeing the Route A stuff with Claire again and going, oh, it's all the same. And then he wrote his review.
That's, I wouldn't put it past it. Depending on everything else he had to do, there's Resident Evil's releasing at the same time as Kingdom Hearts 3. So I don't know if he's reviewing both of those. I think it's Damon Hatfield who did it.
Yeah.
But that is a possibility. And I do know that, a lot of people, I don't agree that beating a game is a requirement for reviewing it. But I will say that whole ordeal that he had to go through with redacting it and rescoring it and kind of showing that you talked about something you didn't necessarily know about. That is my biggest fear with reviewing a game, is that I'm going to get some bit of information so wrong that it's going to, get Reddit threads and reset error threads, and everyone's going to be dunking on me.
It's not that terribly long of a game either.
No,
like Leon's campaign in general is at best, if you play on assisted, for example, you'd wrap that thing up in 4 or 5 hours very easily.
All right, for my part, I surprisingly didn't have any much time to do gaming this week, so I've just been playing Etrian Odyssey Nexus for review next month. Anyone here play the Etrian Odyssey series?
No, but it is on my list to play. I always look on eBay for, I think they started with the DS, right?
Yeah.
Like the original DS. Yeah, I'm always looking for like copies of any of those games on eBay because I quite like to give them a go.
Oh, they are a challenge. And this one, this one has like 4 difficulty levels, and I'm playing on the like normal, I guess would be just one step above super easy, and I'm still getting just completely wiped out in these dungeons. I can't wait to see this thing through the end and reach the top of the main labyrinth, the I don't even know how to pronounce this, Yggdrasil tree? Yggdrasil?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I hope I'll probably be there by Saturday, so get my review up before then.
I learned that word from Xenogears way back in the day.
The anime?
Hey. No, the game Xenogears. That's it, right?
Yeah,
I'm not crazy, am I? Because there's like 1,000 Xeno things now, and I'm trying to remember the original one that I played, Xenogears.
Is that the PS1 one?
Yeah, with the mechs and Jesus, and you have sex in it. Yeah.
Seems legit.
Yeah, it's a great game, but like I just remember because I was like, it was the first video game I ever saw that like, oh, those two banged. And I was like amazed because it didn't show anything, obviously, but it was like I think she was lying in silhouette, covered up, and it was clearly implied that they'd banged. I'm just gonna say banged from now on. They'd done with. Why am I having? They had sex there. Okay, and I was amazed because it was like, wow, this is a really fucking mature game for an RPG.
All I took away from that is that Jesus and a mech had sex. So.
God, I wish. Where's that DeviantArt account? I want to join them.
Chris, what have you been playing this week?
I've not really been playing anything. I hate video games.
Oh, okay. It's a good thing you're on this podcast.
Yeah, me too.
I played some Ruiner, which I've been meaning to get around to since last year, which is Raycon Games twin stick shooter. Devolver put it out, and it's super cyberpunky. You're probably seen it, and it's got like a guy with a mask that's a computer monitor, and it's very Blade Runner, and it's Shadowrun. It's all hacking brains, Johnny Mnemonic, that kind of thing. I've only just started it, and I was really like kind of turned onto it by like its aesthetic, but it seems pretty good, but I'm not immediately taken. Like sometimes you pick up a game and you're immediately, this is what I'm going to play from now on until completion, and I'm not feeling that. I put like a couple of hours into it, and I think that I might just put it to one side and maybe get back to it in the summer or something like that. It looks and sounds great, and the twin stick stuff in it's really good, and I even like the characters, but it's a very showy game. It's one of those games that I think, kind of like that Damsel that I reviewed last year. It's one of those games that the point of the game is for you to just get better and better and better and better at it, so you can then either go to a speedrunning competition or just go on Twitch and show how good you are at the game. That's kind of more important than progressing through the story, if you know what I mean. But that's not to say it's a bad game. It's pretty good, and it looks great, and I love the characters, and it's got a really good Vangelis style soundtrack. But I thought I'd be completely besotted with it, and I just think it's all right.
Oh, shame.
Yeah, it happens. I've been on a good run for games that I've taken a chance on lately, like with Greece at the end of the year. Not so much with Vane, but I've been taking chances on games and it's been working out. This still looks fantastic though. There's nothing wrong with Ruiner in terms of. I looked at the reviews after I'd played it, and it was really divisive. It got some 8s and some 9s, but it also got some. You also got like a couple of 5s as well, and I think someone, it might even be IGN, gave it like a 4 or a 3. And Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation, he really hated it. So I guess
he doesn't like anything though.
Yeah, if it's not Thief, he doesn't like it.
I still think everyone should give it a try. Like, I think it's worth trying it out and seeing if you do like it, especially if you're into like that whole Blade Runner 2049 aesthetic, because it's got that in spades. Devolver are really good at just putting out those games that just look gorgeous and have like really strange and wonderful aesthetics, like High Hell and games like that. So I always think it's a safe bet to pick up one of their games. Well,
a twin stick shooter with stylish graphics from Devolver is right in their wheelhouse. I'm pretty sure that's 90% of the games they release.
Maybe.
Dan, what have you been playing this week besides Resident Evil 2?
Okay. Besides Resident Evil, I've just been playing Senran Kagura Burst Duel. And man, that game it's kind of draining the life out of me, really. It's extremely boring.
Wow.
I think there's only one reason people play those games. And
the story.
Yeah, the story, it really sells it. It's really that static image aesthetic with a text scroll that goes on for 5 minutes. It's really compelling. It's really awesome having a visual novel aspect with a Japanese voice actor talking that you can't understand. It's just you just gotta read the text scroll, and it's something.
Did you ever play the original version on a 3DS?
No, but someone sent me reference footage to compare, and like this just seems like a 3D action hack and slash remake of that. It's not like a 2D side scroller.
Yeah,
and it's basically Dynasty Warriors light. It has light heavy combos and stuff, but it's all so paper thin, and some characters just aren't as fun as others. And I don't know, I'm just not having a good time with it. Like, I'm forcing myself to sit through that game.
For that series, because I play it, it's gotten better as it goes along because they've added a lot more interesting characters. The Estival Versus, I think, was the last one that they released that was, a normal in the style of the games that they were making, and they added I don't even know what this. I think I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but like a Taiko drummer as one of the attacks, and she is just amazingly fun to play as. And going back to just the original cast, I think it's like 12 or 10.
Yeah, something like that.
Characters. I mean, their fighting styles are okay, but it doesn't have nearly the amount of variety that you get with the later games that continues to add more and more characters. But you are absolutely right about those static images with just the slow crawl of text. I don't know why they keep on including those in the games, but god damn are those boring to sit through.
You can also tell that they lifted it straight from the 3DS version because the aspect ratio isn't 16:9, so you have these giant bars on the side. So like they didn't even bother to crop the static images.
Oh my god. Oh, and you're playing on the PlayStation 4, right?
Like you'll encounter enemies that just like run into walls instead of even trying to hit you. It's just I'm playing on PS4. Yeah. It's just not really that great of a time. And like you said, the character diversity isn't there. And when you have a game that has over 100 different missions, it's just like, play as Momoa for like 30 missions. Great.
Yeah. Well, I bet if you were to go and play the original version and then go back and play that, you'd probably be like night and day with seeing what it's like. Because that original 3DS one is just awful. Just the worst.
And yet some of the fans of that series like consider that to be like, this is when it was good. And I'm just like, what? Huh?
No, not even close.
That's too many missions.
It's
nothing should require 100 things. That's too much.
It's if you're like a total completionist. I think if you're not, it's like 80 or so. But
still no.
Even though there is like 80 missions, it's the story. It's just not interesting at all. It's just this typical good versus evil. They're evil shinobi. But wait a minute, what if they aren't? That's it. That's the plot between like just fun little antics that they're okay at first, but then it just keeps going and going and going.
And this is the series that's all based on like the TNA, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's weird to me. Like, why not just make a game like based on what's Yuritsuya Dojo, Legend of the Overfiend?
I specifically wanted to play this simply because it was a remake of the original game, and I wanted to see what the hype was all about. So I played Peach Beat Splash, and that was actually a pretty fun game. I don't know, the third-person shooting mechanics in that were actually pretty decent. The hack and slash stuff in this just really isn't all that great.
The only game in that series that I remember playing for any length of time at all was the cooking rhythm action one. I can't even remember what it was called. Does anyone know? Bon Appetit, yeah. I had to play that for review for a different website. And I just remember finding it really funny that a couple of things. One, how they tied in the losing clothes mechanic to people making cakes. Like they found a way to make it so that baking a cake causes like all your clothes to fall off. And again, just how they managed to put this 150,000 word story mode into the idea of they get together to have a cooking competition, but it had this hours and hours and hours long story mode in it.
You are listening to Podtoid.
All right, that's it for the games that we play this week. Now let's get into some of the headlines. It's time for the news. There's actually a lot to talk about this week. Anthem launched with a bunch of issues. People weren't able to log on. Nintendo announced the final Splatoon 2 Splatfest will happen this summer, which sucks. I didn't take enough time to actually get into that game because I've been too busy playing Overwatch every day. And we found out just how well the Nintendo Switch is selling, though it might not make its ambitious goal of 20 million units sold during the fiscal year. But we start with Netflix, where earlier last week, Deadline reported that the streaming service has a Resident Evil television series in the works. According to the report, the plan is for the series to expand and deepen the Resident Evil universe and its mythology. The drama series will explore the inner workings of the Umbrella Corporation and the havoc it brings when the T-Virus gets out into the wild. The report also says the series will include action sequences and Easter eggs, so be sure to look forward to the 20 IGN stories about Easter eggs you missed in whatever episode they're writing about. The production company behind the movies, Constantine Films, is involved. And there's also supposedly a reboot of the film franchise still in the works with writer Johannes Roberts. I looked up his IMDb profile, and it looks like he's mostly known for low-budget horror films, so he might be a good person to actually make a horror Resident Evil film. One of the films is called 47 Meters Down. Charlotte, Chris, do either of you guys know about that?
Nope.
I know that one. I haven't seen it, But that's the one I've heard good things. It's the one where the girls are trapped in the like a shark cage, and like their oxygen gets cut off, and they have to get back to the surface. Hence the title. And there's sharks everywhere. I heard that was decent.
Hey, and Resident Evil has sharks, so.
Ugh, don't remind me.
But a Resident Evil TV series, knowing that the production company who did the films are involved is, I mean, what are your guys' take on this? What's your thought on it?
Ooh.
Just need to take this off Paul W.S. Anderson, and he uses it as I think he's using it as a vehicle to put his wife in things, which is fair enough, but it's started to not pay off. So just Resident Evil on TV or in film is fine, but I think he needs no involvement anymore.
Yeah, well, he's too busy ruining the Monster Hunter film franchise with his wife.
Oh, okay. Right. if he's distracted with that, then fair enough.
They just need to get it right for once. Like, well, they don't even need to get it right because who fucking asked for it anyway? Like, I remember them announcing the Resident Evil movie, the first one, and people being like, "Oh, this could be a good thing." And very quickly, people were like, "Oh, it's not really going to be kind of like the game. It's going to be more sci-fi and a bit more set in more in laboratories than haunted houses." And then it basically becomes its own lore, doesn't it? The film series.
It becomes it's a sci-fi movie with a bigger budget, is what it turned into. I saw the first movie opening night in the theater. I liked the first movie. I agree that it like there was about 7 minutes in the mansion, and the rest of the time you spent in the hive. Which I was okay with. I understood, but wasn't super happy about. But I liked it. I still think that hallway scene with the laser grid and all was really fun. You can spoiler for the Resident Evil movie at the end when the liquor appears, you're kind of like, okay, that was bad CG. But I'm leaving the theater. I was excited to see the second one, which quickly turned into disappointment when I finally watched it. But with the movie people involved, I don't have a lot of faith it's going to be great. I mean, if they kind of go back to their roots where, you're playing Resident Evil, you're in the mansion, there's that cello soundtrack kind of thing going on. It's slow. You have the shotgun. It's weird as shit. You have to like play the piano to open a secret door, stuff like that. That's really great Resident Evil to me. I don't know if that makes great television or Netflix in this case.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be interesting to watch, really.
Yeah. Well, it's because people are stupid. No.
Well, I know what this new TV series needs. Like, I'm not a producer. I'm just some internet hack. Mm-hmm. But I know what this TV series needs in order to get people on board with it. Tank controls.
Well, I'm just excited for the episode where they show Mila cloning herself about 100 times as an origin story for one of those movies.
Like, that had to be so, like, okay, that's either like, this sounded really cool on paper, or Paul W.S. Anderson was like, I love my wife. She's super hot. I'd like fuck 1,000 of my wives. So let's put 1,000 of my wives on this camera. So
they all get blown up anyways.
Yeah. He also has a weird like sex death fetish too.
It's never a series that I thought that anyone involved in making it had any respect for the Resident Evil series. Like, they just did not care about this franchise and just wanted to make it their own thing and use the name. Because quite honestly, you take away the Resident Evil name, and I would be hard-pressed to find people who would associate the film series with the video game series.
Yeah. And clearly in the later movies, they were just like anything they pulled in, they were like just monster designs. In name only. There wasn't a lot of like the lore, and I'm putting that in air quotes now, literally doing air quotes, because it just seems like Resident Evil lore was always kind of silly, but the fun. I think there was more like, if you want to capture the spirit of Resident Evil, it's more atmosphere and kind of, it's all a little tongue in cheek, a little cheesy, but then there's like really horrible elements in it, faces getting torn off and stuff.
Plus, you need to have this classic line.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
I'm so happy I was able to use that during an actual broadcast. So another story, Oscar nominations came out on Tuesday, and while I'm sure the Flixus team is stoked about Roma and its 10 nominations, tied with the favorite for most of this year, I'd argue the bigger story is we finally got a superhero film into the Best Picture category. Black Panther was nominated for 7 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Score, Best Song for All the Stars, Production Design, Costume Design, Sound Editing, and Sound Mixing. Taking home Best Picture was probably going to be a long shot, though, because it's against Roma, The Favorite, Vice, which I have yet to meet anyone who actually likes, Green Book, Black Klansman, A Star is Born, and Bohemian Rhapsody. Also, in the film category, While I'm sure they're just going to give it to Incredibles 2, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is nominated, and so far it's won the Globe and the Critics' Choice Award. It's a long shot, but I hope that one wins. And then between that one and Black Panther, I think that one has the better chance.
Yeah, I feel like Black Panther, it's going to win, like, I hate saying pessimistic, but, like, you know, you win, like, best costume and all that. That's nice, but those aren't very sexy in terms of awards. You can put it on a billboard, but then people go, oh, best costume, best set design. I know for, like, costume nerds and set design nerds, that's cool, but it's not like best picture or best actor.
Sure, but because of those awards, we now get to say Academy Award-winning film Suicide Squad.
Hell yeah.
Oh, CJ. Oh, I don't like you. Okay. Yeah,
well, I'm glad he took the flak for it, because that was going to be my next line anyway.
Yeah, that's.
Watch out, Occams might do his Joker voice.
Do I have a Joker voice?
Maybe.
You'll have to develop one.
Everyone might have a Joker voice.
That's so true. Although Aquaman did just beat out Dark Knight. I read that this morning before we started. In terms of box office gross.
Oh
yeah. Aquaman's taken like a bucket load of cash. I think hasn't it surpassed Wonder Woman? Isn't it now like the most
Oh yeah.
It's the most financially successful DC movie.
Yeah, the funny part is the producers that like whipped up that thing and the scriptwriters that whipped up that thing, they all got fired in the past for their original pitches on this movie, and then it blew up. So
I remember now. Yes,
that just goes to show you what a shamble that whole place is right now.
Yeah.
Mm. But I think it's a testament to how sexy Jason Momoa is.
Sure.
Nothing.
I never got that. I never
really.
A lot of women I've heard, just gushing about him in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And I've just never got the attraction.
I don't either, but like the visceral reaction, like you can just hear the underwear sag when he's mentioned. It's real potent.
He is kind of nice.
See? Like he's
yeah.
And I get it.
This is why we had to add a woman to the show, so she can correct us.
He's like biker hot, or like he is. He's like biker hot. But you're not worried about getting like Hep C.
Okay.
That clean biker.
He's like if a Lifetime movie like promised to pull out, like that's kind of what he's like.
Right.
So just in his little bike side satchel, he just has it just filled with condoms, so he's always playing it safe.
Yeah, Like you definitely y'all will definitely fuck on the bike while it's going, but he also like made a picnic basket of lunch. I mean, it's kind of the.
He just looks in that film like every guy I knew in like 1997 when I was going to like rock nightclubs all the time. Like you went out on a Saturday night to anywhere that like played rock music, and every dude had that look, that hair, and those tattoos, basically.
I always thought he looked like someone who just became homeless like a day ago.
He does, doesn't he? Sorry. He really does look like he's like newly homeless, and like in the way it's still romanticized. Like, I'm going to write a really great album about this.
So in summary, Roma's going to win Best Picture.
Yep.
Sure.
Pretty much.
I think the favorite should win, but that's just Milos Berber is my favorite director going around right now. So.
Yeah, and I saw that in theaters. I love that film. I love how much he used the fisheye lens, which you don't really see much, but he absolutely committed to it.
And Olivia Colman was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And Rachel Weisz, I had the biggest, stupidest fucking crush on Rachel Weisz. God damn, she's a good actress.
Mm-hmm. Finally, we should talk about Metroid Prime 4. The game was announced 2 years ago, and it's been all quiet since. Then on Friday, in what's really an unprecedented move, Nintendo's Shinya Takahashi announced in a YouTube video an update to the project. Let's just take a listen.
このような観点から本作の開発の現状は誠に厳しいものであると判断し
That really says it all, don't you think?
Sure. What more needs to be said?
Yeah. For those who don't speak Japanese, which I'm pretty sure is all of us, he announced that work on Metroid Prime 4 was starting from scratch after a current version of the game did not meet Nintendo's standards. We don't know who was officially working on it. All signs point to Bandai Namco, but we do know the Prime series is returning home to Retro Studios, who will be starting on scratch on the project. This kind of sets a standard, or let me rephrase that. I hope this sets a standard for the rest of the industry going forward. When you look at some of the games that we got last year that released in incredibly uncompleted states, something like We Happy Few, Fallout 76, to see a major company take a massive game, because Metroid Prime 4, I know Metroid series isn't the best-selling series Nintendo puts out, but I know that the Metroid Prime fans are die-hard, and they're very much looking forward to this, especially after Federation Force. And to take that game and just completely cancel it and then start it from scratch to make sure that's good, I mean, I hope other developers look at that and adopt that type of business model, because you don't want situations like we got a lot of last year.
Yeah, but on the other hand, maybe Nintendo is one of the only companies who could actually afford to do that.
I don't know if I would say that other companies couldn't afford to do that, more as maybe their priorities don't allow them to. Because everything I read is that the developers generally don't like the state of games when they're released and they're not good. Like, they know that this game's not good, but everything working against them was that the company was working against them, and that they had to release it in this state. They had to get done by this date for sales, for shareholders, whatever. And Nintendo generally doesn't act like that. I mean, this was a company that when the Wii U was failing, I believe it's still Satoru Iwata, took a pay cut so that nobody would get fired, even though they were going through tough times. No Western company's ever going to do that. So I don't know if it's so much as it's not financially feasible, and it's just that Nintendo is actually the one who has, I guess, the balls to do this.
Yeah, it took guts. I was really impressed when I heard what they'd done.
And in terms of what you were saying about hoping that this is the way companies do things going forward, there's also that level of transparency. And a big problem, as we all know, with companies over the last few years is this: we're just not telling you anything, or we'll spin everything to make it positive. But this was a proper hands in the air. We don't think this is going to work out, so we're going to do this, and it's going to take much longer, but trust us, you'll be thanking us for it. And I think it was just yesterday, the Anthem people came straight out and were just like, oh boy, that demo sucks balls, didn't it? Like, they straight up were just honest that they fucked up the demo, and that they were like, we're really sorry, we'll try again, please bear with us. And I'm kind of hoping that this starts, maybe foolhardy of me, but I'm kind of hoping this starts kind of a new era of transparency, of people just saying, we had the wrong idea, or we got this wrong, or this is going to take us way longer than we thought, but give us this other chance and we'll try and make it up to you for your patience.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the price drops that happened with Fallout 76 just weeks after it was released. That was things happen for reasons, and obviously individuals don't have controls over the bigger planning for the company, but that was quite embarrassing when that happened, just seeing it come down in price so fast, because obviously there were such systemic problems with the game. Yeah,
and I think also, with Nintendo pushing this back and canceling it, something about it tells me that they're confident enough with what they have coming out in 2019 and 2020 that they realize that they can push that back. I hope that whatever it was Retro Studios was working on for the past 4 years is still going to be something they make, because they haven't released a new game since Tropical Freeze. They did work on the Switch port of that game, but supposedly they've had this mystery project in the works for a while now, and when it turned out it wasn't Metroid Prime 4 when they officially announced that game, a lot of people were wondering, well, what are they working on? And I think I'm asking that question even more now. Have they been working on anything, or have they just been kind of assisting with other projects? Because I know that's kind of a big Nintendo thing to do, is to have your first and second party developers work on games together.
Because I can only assume once they got this Metroid Prime 4 contract, it was a case of right, drop tools, everyone. We need to get started on this because we're already behind schedule. So whatever, if they were working on something, I suppose that's just on the shelf now. Or
it's hopefully close enough to release that they can just put it out with a smaller team and have the bigger team go work on Metroid Prime 4. If there's anything at all. These rumors, of course, could be false and they just weren't working on anything.
The thing that I took away from the video itself was also the very positive reception from fans for the most part.
Yes.
It's amazing that just being transparent can go over so much better than just the blatant, awful PR talk we get usually.
Yeah.
I think video games PR needs to rethink things. I don't know who is teaching PR within the realm of the video game industry, but holy shit, they need to rethink all of it.
I think it's just the way PR is done in general. I mean, I think people are aware enough nowadays to where that kind of like, it seemed like manager speak, where I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but or how politicians can say a paragraph of words and say nothing and like have no viewpoint or agree to nothing. It's the same thing with that PR speak where it's like, oh, we're going to kind of pull back focus to reinvent the blah to do, and it's fucking nothing. There's no, so if there was a way to do that kind of stuff and just say, be honest, or at least make up new words for it, would be nice, because we know we're being, fucked around.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. But one thing I am curious about will be like what footage or maybe even builds comes years down the road from now from that unfinished Namco project.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'm very curious what that thing was now.
Holmes published a story on the other Metroid games that never made it to retail. And I've known about a lot of them, but one of the videos he had was for the original style remake of the original Metroid, the Metroid Zero Mission, I think Beta is what it was called. And I'd never seen this video before. And if you haven't seen it, I'd go watch it because it has, it uses Game Boy Advance graphics to make the big head Samus from the original Metroid. And it looks weird. Like, it looks like a child drew her. And I was just fascinated by it. And I was just shocked I'd never seen this before, because Metroid is probably my third favorite franchise from Nintendo. And so for me to have never known about this, I was taken aback. So those were the big stories of the week, but there is a little bit more news I want to talk about. Last week, it was announced that Farming Simulator would be getting its own eSports league with more than $250,000 up for grabs and prizes. The league will consist of 10 tournaments to be held around Europe, with the grand final taking place at FarmCon 2020. Apparently, Farming Simulator competitive sports is a thing, so there's already an audience for this. It's really big in Europe. Chris, Charlotte, do either of you at all play Farming Simulator?
No, I don't, but I do know how big it is here, and particularly in Germany, it's absolutely massive. And it seems to be more people who know their shit about farming. Oh, sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Oh, absolutely. So.
Okay, good. People who know their shit about farming play Farming Simulator. It's not a casual sort of simulator game by any stretch of the imagination. So I can imagine that this will be an extremely serious thing, and that, seems cool, whatever floats people's boat.
I just know from my time working in shops that all the games in that range, where it's like simulators, but of what some would consider like a mundane task, like Bus Driver Simulator, and all those games always sold. Like, we'd get them in and people would like know they were coming out and come specifically for it. It was something we always stocked because we always knew it was going to shift. I myself tried the Truck Driving Simulator 1 because for some reason I had this really romantic idea that it'd be really cool to be like a trucker out on the open road. But the game just seemed like, they're like hobby games. Like, I don't think you can play anything else at the same time. You like, it's almost like Football Manager games where that's your game and you don't put your time into anything else because it requires these extended everyday sessions.
You would be the sweetest truck driver.
I'd probably be found in a ditch like in 3 days, like missing an arm and a leg, and I wouldn't be a very good truck driver. Like,
real quick though, what happened? You're found in the ditch. How did you get in the ditch?
Little chef, food's a bit dodgy.
Yeah, I stopped for a sweet girl with blonde hair who was thumbing a ride, and she killed me with a samurai sword. Yeah.
I would be a good truck driver, though. We'll put good in air quotes.
But at least I have such terrible sleep patterns that I'd just be able to stay awake for the whole journey. So I wouldn't need to take pet pills or anything. I could just rely on my terrible infrastructure to keep me awake and alive on the road.
I'd probably get really heavily into the occult. I feel like that could be easy to do as a truck driver.
That's such a jump.
I mean, I kind of already have 1 foot in that realm anyway.
So if you got your like Ouija board on the dashboard, and you're just like,
no, I've got the Ouija board.
Guide me.
I've got my Ouija board like tattooed at the base.
Like incense smell.
Yeah, really. I've got the Ouija board tattooed on the base of my spine. It's in me now.
Right. But yeah, farming simulator as an esport. What's the competition? Is it who has the most productive? Is it who can get like the most productive farm in the shortest amount of time? Or
I couldn't find an answer to that question because I was looking it up. The only thing I saw made mention of watching people stack bales of hay. I hope that's not what it is, because boy, that'd be boring to watch. But I think all of this would be boring to watch, which is why my question to you is, what game do you play that you think should get its own esports league?
Okay, but first, very expensive April Fool's prank idea. What if we fly Occams out to FarmCon 2020 to cover the event?
Damn, that would be amazing. See, okay, like I'm like in terms of looks, I'm like probably a New York 3, maybe a New York 4, right?
Ohio 7.
Okay, I'm a FarmCon like 9.6, right? So I can I would look great on camera.
I will definitely message EG about getting that done. Let's see if we can't get him out there.
Can't wait for that play-by-play.
Yeah. Play-by-play.
Just reference Wicker Man the entire time. So where did you build your Wicker Man?
But what games do you guys like that you would like to see as an esport?
I mean, personally, I would say like the WWE 2K games, just because they're really broken and janky and awful. So just seeing that on a competitive scene where they're trying to have maybe a good match, but then the whole thing glitches and now they're fighting like in the audience somewhere and the camera's all budding out and panning away from them. That'd be great.
You know, considering there is a Madden League, there's a FIFA League, there's a MLB League, there's probably a hockey league, although maybe not. I'm surprised they haven't done a massive push for a WWE eSports league.
Well, for one, the game's broken, so that's probably why right there.
No, that doesn't stop them from selling it.
I think I kind of see what CJ's saying. It seems like since wrestling's so popular, and it's really the personalities. Like I quit enjoying wrestling around the time Ultimate Warrior left, so that's about where my references drop off. But it seems like it's so popular and such a thing. I'm surprised there isn't some kind of like, even if it was just like within the context of like the matches or the like events and stuff. I'm surprised there isn't some kind of tournament thing.
Although, you know, they'd probably be accused of scripting the winners of even the esports matches.
That'd be incredible. If it was like just a predetermined esport.
like the kids winning and all of a sudden like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, because again, I haven't watched in a while, like ran up and like hit the kid in the head with the 2x4, then did that little like stomp off the stage.
A new podcast idea, Occam's dated wrestling references. Just
sweet.
Nothing from 1995 on, just everything before then.
R.I.P. Mean Gene. I knew that.
Charlotte, what about you? Is there any game that you like that you'd love to see as an esport?
Probably in a similar vein to Farming Simulator, but that sort of format might work really well with Theme Hospital, like trying to build as most successful Battenberg Hospital in the shortest amount of time or something. I don't know. But a lot of that sort of thing is covered by speedrunning anyway, because people speedrun for Theme Hospital, so it sort of is. Like, is speedrunning an esport? That's a question that everybody's arguing about at the minute.
I think it is.
Yeah.
It's competitive, I guess, isn't it? Like, I guess you're only really competing with yourself and other people's times. It's still an attempt to beat other people, I guess. So.
Yeah. There's not really much precedence. It's starting, but there's not that much prize money. That's the thing. But there are people who are getting sponsorships off the back of being speedrunners. So I guess it's starting to go in that direction, but a lot of people are not happy that it's going in that direction.
The we want to keep speedrunning pure people.
Yeah, but I think not just that, but I think people are a bit nervous about the drama it could bring. I think a lot of people see it as sort of a sort of hobby, sort of. Well, these meetups are very, like, I was surprised at how friendly everybody was and how it was like a community. And I think people are a little bit worried that it's going to verge away from that if it starts becoming competing for money rather than competing for bragging rights only.
And also, like, whenever I think of like major speedrunning events, all I ever tie them to is charity.
Yeah, exactly. That as well. Yeah.
Like speedrunning seems to go hand in hand with like donating money for charity so much that it had almost become like, why are people winning money when they used to be just encouraging others to give money?
In the realm of esports, though, it's very entertaining to watch. Like even if you don't know anything about the game you're watching a speedrun for, it's just extremely entertaining to see. So I still think it has potential.
Occams, what about you?
Well, I'm kind of jumping off of what Charlotte said a bit, because my original answer was going to be a train simulator, because I have a very, very dear friend who builds model trains, and he plays the train simulator games, and he goes batshit for them. And I think that's sweet. But I'm going to go with what Charlotte said. So it's that surgery sim game.
Surgeon Simulator?
Sure. Yeah, that one. So we're going to go Surgeon Simulator. And we're going to go, but it's also a strictly hardcore death metal battle of the bands, and everyone is required to drink. So it's all three of those things combined into some sort of competition.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd compete in it.
Yeah, me too.
You guys like watching? Sign me up.
Chris, what about you?
Buckaroo.
Oh, boy.
My original answer to this question was going to be Night Trap, just because I think that would be fun to see people try and make that into a sport. But I'm actually going to go with Mario Kart. I'm surprised Mario Kart isn't big on the competitive scene right now, because it seems like it's perfect for it. Am I wrong there? Should if we can get Splatoon and we can get Smash Brothers to be played competitively as esports, why not Mario Kart?
Is that not like a scene? Like,
yeah, I'm surprised it isn't.
yeah, that's what I'm surprised by if it's not.
I'm not that surprised, actually, because it seems like the sort of game of where you have really, really good people competing against each other. There's going to be very little in between it, because they know which route to take around the track. But also, it's so bullshit with the items that it'd be fun to watch, but it wouldn't be that fun to learn how to do it, really, because so much of it is down to chance.
Oh, yeah, that random element.
And you'd have to have the items, because if you turn those off, Mario Kart's just boring without them.
I think that's exactly it. I think there's the randomization of the items, and also I might be wrong here because I'm a little out of touch with Mario Kart, but isn't the game built around the people who are losing get to go faster anyway, so they can catch up?
Yeah.
So then it almost becomes like a deeper game of, is it best to actually stay in third place until the last lap, and then you've got people who don't want to be at the front because they're not going at top speed. I don't know, mate. I'm a little out of touch with Mario Kart, but it seems that there's almost too many mechanics in there that are not just who's the best player.
Too much chance.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, and I suppose that adds a strategic level to it, that you might have people deliberately trying to stay in third or fourth place to make sure that they're at the front at the end. But then you'd have the same issue of these really good people vying for third or fourth place. I don't know. Right. I just can't imagine it working super well. But
everyone's going slow on purpose.
That's a hard game to go slow in on purpose, because there's no, it's not like a racing simulator where you have different gears you can shift into.
You are listening to Podtoid.
All right, that's it for the show. But before we go, we have our Podtoid question of the week.
You want to do something fun? You want to go to Taco Bell?
No, I'm sorry. That's not the Podtoid question of the week. Occams, you have our question. What is it?
I do. So I was reading a story about this guy who has an emotional support alligator. It's a youngin, but one day it won't be. But that got me thinking. If you could have a video game creature be your emotional support animal, what would you pick? And for me, I would probably go Jigglypuff, so I could finally sleep.
Sounds like Chris needs that one.
I think I would go with Silver the Hedgehog, just for his famous line of, "It's no use, give up."
Is that just general advice?
May I just say, your reading of that was exquisite.
I'd go with the glazed ham that you find inside the oil drum in Final Fight.
Nice.
For my part, I would go with Rambi the rhinoceros from Donkey Kong Country. Seems like no one would get in my way if I had him as my support animal.
I like the glazed ham, by the way. That makes me happy. The fact that you glazed the ham in the oil drum, it just adds a whole nother level to that food item I've thought about for years.
Maybe it's a glazed drum.
Yeah, I'd probably go with I forget his name now. Drippy from Ni no Kuni, the first one. Just because he literally bursts into Oliver's room and is like, "Oh my God, you're crying because your mum died," like in a really funny Welsh accent. So he would snap me out of things. He would definitely give me a slap and tell me to grow up.
That's some tough love. That's some tough love right there.
Some tough love from just a whimsical looking creature.
As a kind of backup answer, I might go with like the Tyrant from Resident Evil, just because it'd be cool just to walk around with him and just hang out and just be like, "Hey, it's my buddy."
Now, would you carry him on a leash?
No. I would master, because I'm relatively tall, but I think Tyrant's like 7'2", so I would definitely do like a Master Blaster thing, or the scene in Chappelle's show where Dave Chappelle is Puff Daddy jumped into that guy's arms and they just walked off. Like I feel that would make entrance and exit a lot of the time.
All right, let us know your answer to this answer to the question in the comments below. That's our show. But before we go, Occams, you have a shout out?
Yeah. All right. So I got two, actually. One, Alpha Deus, who's our resident musician, has put up some new music, and it's free to look at, to listen to. It's up on the Q post. All this stuff's going to be in the Q post, by the way, so check those out. And then Alpha's been making music here for years. He's made albums for users, about users. He's made music for video games that don't even exist yet. He's a great dude, and his music is well worth your time. I also want to give a shout out to Zombie Core, who has a sweet puppy that has cancer and is it's struggling right now. He's trying to raise money for some treatment, and there's a GoFundMe page for that. There's a link off of the Q posts from him, and Philkin7 also reposted the link. I'll probably repost it later myself, either tonight or tomorrow. But if you have some time and some money to donate, it's a good cause, and he's a good dude. So just want to give a shout out to those folks.
Awesome. Charlotte, thank you for joining us.
I had a great time.
Yay.
That's what I like to hear. Anyone else got a shout out you want to put in? Someone else?
No, but I have a breaking news story.
Oh, breaking news. Go ahead.
Bubsy Paws on Fire was just announced. It's coming 2019 for PC, PlayStation 4, and Switch.
Wow, that was announced several months ago. What breaking news?
Oh fuck. Well, there's a trailer. Bubsy's back. I just wanted to talk about Bubsy and end on that note. And whatever, fine.
Real quick, new Cool Spot game just announced right here, right now. Make it in my basement. Come join me. Don't wear pants.
I can't wait till Dan tells us that the government reopened in June, so that'll be fun.
Stay tuned for that.
Thanks for joining us, guys. You have a great week.